Hello, my name is Casey Clayton. I'm a Cloud Application Integration Solution Architect with Informatica, and I'm going to walk you through a demonstration of Cloud API and application integration, specifically an order-to-cash use case scenario with bidirectional real-time integration between Salesforce and NetSuite. So our Salesforce use case is we have users in Salesforce that are taking orders from customers, entering them as opportunities, and these opportunities are then being fulfilled and billed out of a separate ERP system, in this case, NetSuite. And so we're going to show a few different techniques that Informatica provides to enable a real-time integration, including the use of a process guide component to take the Salesforce user, in this case, a call center sales rep, through a complex business process that will require information from Salesforce and multiple external sources. We're going to show the ability to view and modify related data across multiple Salesforce orgs, the ability to read and write with tables in an application database, of course, the two-way real-time integration from Salesforce to a cloud ERP, as well as several other code-free API calls to a wide variety of REST and SOAP web services. So just to have something in mind, this is actually the business process that was part of this call center. You can see it has a number of steps and activities. This is exactly the kind of thing that leads to long training cycles in these sorts of call centers and can also affect Salesforce adoption. I'm not going to walk through each of these steps because we'll do it as part of this business process, but these are the kinds of problems that we can help some of our customers tackle. For example, after the order has been fulfilled, then there's some fulfillment steps, including making sure that it gets marked in NetSuite as fulfilled, that the tracking number is generated, a number of things along those lines that you'll see as part of the demonstration. So let's just go ahead and hop into it. We're going to play the role of Ron Burgundy. He is a sales rep at Wineforce who does business with a number of catering establishments throughout the region. These are the ones that have been assigned to me. So I'm just going to go ahead and say day one at the call center. I'm going to go work my food and beverage accounts. I was told that I was able to go into one of the accounts assigned to me, and then I would be able to actually find a business process guide that would allow me to execute the sales call cycle, including helping out the customer with information from a number of different places. So here's your standard Salesforce record. But you'll notice here at the bottom, we have this real-time guides section. So this component is a Visualforce component provided by Informatica and can be displayed anywhere within your Salesforce Classic or Lightning interfaces. We have it in a separate tab. You could trigger it potentially as a button. There's all kinds of ways that these things can be placed depending on the needs for your users. But we're just going to go ahead and scroll down, and we're going to find our Wineforce outbound sales process. And you can see there's other processes available to us here, like a contact import wizard that can reach out to a legacy database, the ability to reach out to the ERP and just view financial information in real time without having to copy it into Salesforce or create fields for it in Salesforce, and then also our opportunity process. And what we've done within Informatica Cloud and the cloud application integration is, with all these little building blocks, created a comprehensive best practices outbound sales process for our call center reps. So we'll go ahead and, taking back the role of the call center rep, all I would need to do is go down and say, all right, let's sell some wine. So I'm going to trigger this process. Now, everything you see here is created without code in the Informatica Process Designer. And this includes the page layouts, the API calls, and the database access. So we'll show you a little bit of the designer at the end of the process, but let's stay in the experience of the sales rep for now. So here's a quick introductory page of what the call center sales process is. Now, fortunately, I don't need to memorize all this because I'm going to be guided through it step by step along the way. So I'm going to hit continue. And the very first thing it's going to do is it's going to bring up a list of contacts that we already have here in Salesforce. So you can see we have a general manager and a research assistant. Neither of them look potentially very promising to sell wine to in this circumstance. So we do have the ability to actually reach out to the legacy database. This is perhaps a Siebel or another CRM system that they contained all their customers in the past. And rather than migrate every single one of them in the hopes that they may call them again, they set up this guide that allows an end user to see what's in the database in real time, find a good contact for them to reach out to, select this contact, and then begin the process of actually creating it in Salesforce using this legacy data here on demand. So we're making a call to an on-premise database. We found all these old contacts. Now we're going to bring it into Salesforce. But before we do that, we want to make sure that this data is valid. So as part of our business process, we've baked in some web service calls to Informatica Data as a Service. They'll do things like validate the email address, the phone number, as well as the mailing address. Standardize that. So you can see here, while the user is working on the page, while we're in the process of bringing in this data, we can see that it's incorrect. So perhaps we go look in LinkedIn, go find out what the correct email address is so we can reach out to this person, but we aren't going to be able to proceed with a sales call until we get something that's been validated. So I'll go in here and just provide an email address. And then just for some reason, I make a mistake and I come and fat finger the phone number as I'm proceeding here. You can see the real-time web service call is actually taking place. The status is being set based on what the results are, and it's not going to let us through until we get both of these right. So let's go ahead and set both of those. So as an end user, I'm getting clean data into the system without even trying, because we're making sure that the validation occurs with these web service calls to data as a service. Now, the address details, same kind of story. We're going to do some standardization and some scoring, as well as some geocoding, and show a little bit of a map. Give the user the option to use the standardized address at this time. And then we drop them into our sales campaign page. So this is a call prep page that was created by the sales operations folks to allow Mr. Ron Burgundy, in this case, to prepare for his call. So I can see here that I'm about to make a sales call to Beatrice Lowe, who I just created in Salesforce. I can see here that it's actually automatically created a task for me and an activity log, so that way, I get credit for all the calls that I'm making and it's happening automatically. I can just go ahead and set the status and I don't have to worry about all the other fields. And now here I also have the ability to reach into some other systems to maybe check on key data about this account that might be relevant. So just before I dig in and call Beatrice, maybe I want to just take a look in our NetSuite system to see if these folks owe us any money, maybe what their last payment was. And so I can see here in real time, we've pulled this information back from the NetSuite system, which includes their balance, an overdue balance, and days overdue. So this is a little bit troubling. They owe us a little bit of money, but it also means they do business with us. I didn't have to log into NetSuite to see this, and these fields don't even exist, on the account record within Salesforce, because they don't need to. They're actually part of the ERP data, and we only bring it in on demand when a customer is asking us about it or we're doing some research. So guides allow you to have this external access to data without all the overhead of configuring external objects and other things within Salesforce, if you just need to be able to access and work with the data. So we can dig deeper here. We can say, hey, let's take a look at the different orders that they've had, potentially use them to create opportunities in cases as well, just like we did the database data. None of this stuff has to be copied into Salesforce anymore if they just need to be able to see it. So we'll go ahead. We'll finish our little research project here, and it drops us right back into the flow of where we were. So let's continue with our sales call now. We're going to start the call. Now this is a little bit of a call script page. A call scripting is, a part of some businesses' lives, but the key, I think, to having a successful script in a modern system is actually have the script be able to interact with the data rather than it being a separate piece of documentation. So what we talk about here is, as we're proceeding, not only are we reading scripts, but we're making calls out to objects within our Salesforce instance, as well as data that might be in another Salesforce instance. For example, customer service for this particular company is in a completely separate Salesforce organization. We don't actually keep cases if we were to track them here in this org. So what we need to be able to do is query that other org in real time, and we could see that there's actually a case that's sitting over there that's an escalated status. We could drill into this case and potentially even interact with it, update a description or a status, set the subject, or maybe just run an escalation procedure that they have that will create a chat or an email and a task. And as an end user, I don't need to know any of these things. I just need to know that, working with customer on new order, please look into this case. And so there it goes off to update the case in the other Salesforce org, and I'm actually able to proceed with my process. Key step here is creating the opportunity. Now, if you're used to a Salesforce opportunity page, there's generally a whole lot of fields on there. Most of them users end up getting trained not to use. What we allow you to do is, rather than create a page layout for every record type and profile, you can actually create a page layout for a point in time in a process. And so that's why we're only presenting these 4 fields here, which are actually automatically populating for the end user and controlling the ability for them to only select values that would be valid at this point in time. So of course, closed one is a valid opportunity status, but not right now. So we can actually show fewer pick list fields here without changing anything in Salesforce. This also gives us the ability to put in a PO. Maybe we don't have one of those yet, so we can go ahead and proceed. And so what's going on behind the scenes as this is occurring is these records are being created within Salesforce. We're creating an opportunity record. We're creating a contact record. And all these things do actually exist. We can come and take a peek behind the scenes. There's the new contact and all these things as we go along. So if we were to ever, say, need to go back at some point in time and jump all the way back to the beginning, it will say that this new object that we've created will be deleted and it will warn us. So it will actually undo things if we need to go back to an earlier step in the process. But let's go ahead, proceed. This is our real-time financial summary. We're on the phone with Beatrice, and we happen to notice that we've got this account balance of $651. So it doesn't trigger any sort of finance business rule response, so we're able to proceed with actually our real-time inventory selection. Now, what's interesting about this page is this list of products is actually coming in real time back from NetSuite, including the quantity available, the best price. So rather than trying to constantly synchronize price codes and price books and product codes, we're just actually relying on a saved search that's been set up in NetSuite, displaying the results of that to a Salesforce user. And now somebody that's maybe looking for a nice Zinfandel, you can see our, it's filtering from the list of Zins. It's filtered down from 72 entries as we type. We can go in and say, let's say this Sinzin 2003. Let's go ahead and get 6 of those, please. So we can, using the information like the internal ID and the name and the price from NetSuite, we can create an opportunity product in Salesforce that actually will, be able to be automatically sent over in the closing steps. So we can continue here and add new products as we go until the customer is satisfied with their order. So let's just add one more product to the list. You can see we're maintaining a running total of what's going on and the opportunity products that are there. So the customer is satisfied with their order. We can complete opportunity entry. This is our last step in our process. We're actually just making a web service call to a service that actually will send a text message to the contact mobile phone number. Just a nice little touch, and just shows what's possible, that if you don't have to write a lot of code to interact with APIs, some of the other nice features that you don't have to reinvent the wheel on become available to you. The API landscape out there, as you know, is great. So we're going to go ahead and send this SMS message. Should go off to Beatrice. And now we've completed our process. So this is the opportunity we've created, this amount, a quick review of what was accomplished. And then as my end user, we're going to hit continue. And it's actually going to take us to the opportunity that we had created. So we've got this opportunity now in Salesforce. We can look and we can see that we've got the 2 products here, and the key elements of these products are actually coming in from NetSuite, so that when when time comes to create the sales order, we're able to send this over automatically. So here we are, we've got an opportunity. Now we want to be able to get it over to NetSuite. And so we do have the ability, to put process guides on other types of objects. You'll notice here that we've got different guides because we're in the context of the opportunity that we're looking at. So let's say, for example, the customer calls us back up in a hurry and says, I need to get 6 more bottles of Chardonnay. We can say, no problem. We can add a product to your order using our real-time product lookup. And it's actually going to utilize portions of that same guide that we had before. It's going to bring back the information. And we'd say, okay, you're looking for a Chardonnay as well. We're happy to add that to your order. Maybe another 4 bottles. Big spenders around here. So it's keeping my opportunity up to date. We've got 3 products on it now. So now we can, get back to the opportunity. So we have the ability to continue to interact with outside systems, getting the price list. We see the 3 opportunity products there, and we're ready to go. So the next step is we can close the opportunity and submit the order. We have a guide for that can do things like collect the lead source and the purchase order number, for example. So, but rather than showing guides for every step of this process, there are ways that we can absolutely interact in real time with the Salesforce data without having to use this visualization component. And that's in the form of using workflow rules and outbound messages. So within Salesforce, in my setup area, I've configured a workflow rule that when my opportunity goes to closed won, it should get sent over to NetSuite at that time. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. I'm going to go as an end user, come in and update the stage. The stage is going to become closed won. Probability now is 100%. And so let's go ahead and save. And so what's going on in the background? Salesforce is doing some validation, checks the workflow rules, fires off an outbound message to an Informatica Cloud process. And so we can actually go into Informatica Cloud, into our application integration console, which gives us the ability to look into all the various processes that have been executing on our org over time. So you can see that we actually had a recent opportunity event, which triggered an opportunity process and collected 3 products from the product list, and then actually reached back out to NetSuite to get the order ID when it was done. And you can come in and take a look at any of these processes. It actually gives you details on what was returned at each step of the way and how the process executed as it went along. But what we, as an end user, all we would care about is we can come back here into Salesforce, and next time we refresh our page, we can see that we actually have now a NetSuite ID associated and a transaction ID as well as a NetSuite status. So, how do we know? I mean, from a sales rep's perspective, once again, they've closed the order as won. They're likely done. So, but we can take a look at the order within NetSuite, just with a simple link here to confirm that everything that we have sent over is accurate. So we'll just log, this is not something that our Salesforce user would have to do, but maybe somebody whose job it is to work out of NetSuite now can come in and say, all right, well, my job in NetSuite is to verify the sales order is correct, and it all appears to be good. We got our 3 products in here. I also need to make sure that we appropriately set things like the class field, because it's an important piece of our business that they need to track. So if I were to come in here and set this to corporate sales and save it using a similar mechanism to what they have in Salesforce, except this is a user event script in NetSuite, we can call an Informatica process. So we see where we updated corporate sales here. If we come back and so NetSuite class is empty. If I hit refresh, now all of a sudden we have the corporate sales. That value actually came over from NetSuite in real time. And so, and it works in both directions. So if I'm here in Salesforce and the customer calls up and says, oh, hey, I finally got that PO number for you. Let me go ahead and provide that so we can put it on my order. This would be great. It's all right. Well, 2018-1111. Got it. So thank you. And I'll make sure that that gets over to our billing system. So I can just hit save, updating the opportunity. Once again, behind the scenes, the outbound message will trigger. Informatica process will go and update NetSuite. And so as fast as we can get over here, we can refresh it and see that the customer PO is now populated based on the Salesforce update. So we've got real bidirectional integration based on just saving the records at this point. But we can take it one last step further. Potentially, besides just synchronizing the data, we can execute actions in other systems. In this case, a fulfillment action to actually go ahead and ship this off and get a tracking number. And so we come down to our guide section, and you'll notice even though we're looking at the same record, it's actually a different guide that's appearing here. That's because you're able to use any field on the opportunity or related records to actually control what you see. So since this is closed won, since it's pending fulfillment, the only guide that we're going to see right now is actually fulfill sales order. So it gives you a good way to indicate what's actually valid and to happen next without a lot of Salesforce configuration. So let's go in and let's fulfill this thing. For whatever reason, this business process, the fulfillment folks in the warehouse, they don't log into NetSuite. They go, they do their work, and they come in, they find the opportunity, and then all they have to do now is hit this fulfill button. And so what's occurring. This is going to be a fully synchronous process. Now it's going to sit here and wait until it gets a response back from NetSuite, and we're shown the actual ID as appears right here before we're allowed to proceed. So we've got this transaction ID from the fulfillment. We can actually go see our order, or we can do a billing transaction. Let's take a look at the order, make sure we got everything over okay. So you can see now my opportunity is pending billing. We've got a shipping date and even a UPS tracking number that's all been synchronized over from NetSuite. So if I come back to NetSuite just to confirm things, this should show now as pending billing, and in fact it does. And we've got the shipping all handled. That comes actually from the line items within NetSuite. And then so we've got the shipping information. And if we come and look at our guides, the only thing left now is to bill. So to close out the life cycle, we could trigger this billing action from within Salesforce or another application. Just our ability to kind of securely translate the web services between on-premise and cloud is what makes this possible. So we're finally going to bill out the sales order. This is going to generate the invoice in NetSuite and allow the customer to be billed. So once again, real-time synchronous call. It takes as long as the web service of the target takes to get me back my NetSuite ID, and we're done. So we'll refresh our page. You'll notice that our NetSuite status is showing billed. We've got our ship date, tracking number, all these things. If I come back here into NetSuite, now it's also showing as the build status. So we've completely walked it through its life cycle. You'll notice here in my guide section, it's blank because that's all the work. All the various criteria have been met. And so now, here's our booked opportunity. And just to confirm that things are actually as real time as we expect, if we wanted to, we could go back to our account name, the Honing Catering Group. We could actually come in here and take a look at the real-time guides and just do a quick look for the ERP financial info. So maybe we don't need to run the entire sales process. Maybe I'm just curious as to what's in NetSuite right now. So we can simply run the component that is the view financial information guide. It's going to make the real-time request. Now you'll notice the balance has actually gone up to $967.88. We could take a look. Our sales order should be there as well as the invoice. Based on the information that is coming in. So let's go back, take a look at invoices as well, or payments. All these things can be tracked and shown and be used to create Salesforce objects. So we've ended back to the account. And so that is the end of our demonstration. I appreciate your time today, and please let us know if you have any questions.